This episode of the Beaute Industry podcast was produced especially for all of the mums who run beauty businesses. Hello and welcome to the Beaute Industry podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry. I am your host, founding director of Beaute Industry, Tamara Shaw. Here we are closing the competitive gap and speaking your language. This is a platform created and dedicated to the professional beauty industry, valuing community over competition. We serve to help connect you with inspiration from industry experts, expand your knowledge through educational pieces, and bring you the latest in product and technology innovation. This is Beaute Industry. Today I am speaking with Emily Harper, a kick-ass businesswoman and also a dear friend of mine and someone who I've turned to for many words of advice throughout our friendship. In fact, most of what you see on Beaute Industry has probably come about from a conversation Emily and I have had together. Emily has accomplished many incredible things in her time in the industry. She owns a Brazilian butterfly franchise down in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne, is a qualified cosmetic tattoo artist, and is a mum of 3 to 2 boys, Liam and Lenny, and daughter Lila. I wanted to shine a spotlight on mums in business in this episode, as Emily and I have a raw conversation about the business of the beauty industry when you've got a family to look after, the guilt that it takes to be away from your children in order to provide for them, and also take a look at the lighter side of life to get you through to your dreams outside of your children. Here's Emily and I for Beaute Industry. Emily, welcome to the Beaute Industry podcast.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. Now, we have spoken about recording together for a while, and we once did. However, the audio was so terrible that I was like, no, this is not okay for the level of conversation that we are going into. So
that's right.
We're recording again, and I needed to bring you and the conversation to our audience. And of course, you being one of my very best friends, I know your story. I know how you entered into the industry and your kind of career pathway. And I think it's such an inspirational one for anybody who's still trying to find their feet or figure out what they're doing in their career, especially as the whole mum thing comes in. So
yes,
for our audience listening, can you tell us how you entered into the beauty industry?
So I've been in the hair and beauty industry for around, must be around 12 years now. I started working in hair salons. My first job in a hair salon, I was about 14 years old. Started as a shampoo girl, shampooing hair and, sweeping up on a Thursday night and a Saturday. And I left school to go to TAFE and do year 11 BCal. And I did a hair and beauty, you go to the TAFE on Thursday and Friday and you do hair and beauty, something like Cert 2. And initially I was absolutely obsessed with hair, really was not interested in beauty at all, but it was a joint course and I was just sort of fluffing my way through, really struggled with the makeup, all the intricate details. I think I was actually a really terrible beauty student. I think my teachers absolutely hated me because I just, giggled and mucked around at the back of the class. So after that year, I got an apprenticeship and I worked as an apprentice hairdresser for 2 years. But the boss that I was working with, she was quite tough, as, some bosses can be. But I'm now grateful for her because she taught me some great things that I've carried over, through my working life. And I stopped hairdressing and I went and worked in a gym for a little while. And I actually fell pregnant. I must have only been about 18 or 19. And I had been told that I wouldn't be able to have children because I've got endometriosis and PCOS. So it came as a very big surprise to me and my partner. And I told my manager at the gym that I was pregnant and I was fired. the very next day,
It's wild.
which is wild. But unfortunately, these things do happen. I never took it further at the time. And I was devastated. I was thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, I'm a couple of months pregnant. How am I going to get a job? And I'd been a long time client at Brazilian Butterfly. And I remember going into my appointment the following day. I think I'd been crying for like 12 hours straight. And my therapist, Sarah, at the time, I told her what had happened. And she said, oh, well, we're actually looking for a receptionist. You know our boss. Why don't I organize a little interview for you? You could come and work here. And I thought, oh, yeah, I could do that. I've got a little bit of beauty experience. Like, it probably isn't that different to being a receptionist at a hair salon. Why not? So I came in a couple of days later and sat down with my boss at the time, well, my then soon-to-be boss, Linda, and the rest was history. I started just working evenings and Saturdays, initially as a receptionist, and slowly worked my way up to learn spray tans. I went and did some further studies with waxing, and then a couple of years later, I bought the salon, and here we are.
Amazing. I was actually talking to two business owners last week, Gree from Hood Skin and Body and also Jessica
Yes.
Brigginshaw from Be Indulged. And they both said that recently they have hired therapists who used to be their clients.
Yep.
I love it.
I mean, I think your clients so intimately. You see them in such a raw state. They're not hiding anything. You are, well, most of the time, you are seeing them for who they are. They're often naked. They're often sharing such intimate personal details with you. I think it's a great choice. I would not be put off hiring one of my clients either.
Yeah, interesting. And so, talk me through the moment you've gone from being a receptionist to being a therapist at Brazilian Butterfly, and then you're watching the business owner at the time decide to sell shortly after. You're quite still young at this age. What made you think maybe this is something I can do?
Yeah, so I think over time, as I'm sure a lot of salon owners will agree, it probably just made sense to my boss at the time to start teaching me things. So when it got a little bit busier, I could be making use of time, and instead of just putting clients through doing a spray tan, doing a bottom half leg wax, she just started teaching me things. And I learnt more and more, and before I knew it, I was a therapist, and then I think she replaced me with a receptionist. And I'd been a therapist for, I can't actually remember how long it was, but I can remember the moment so clearly. I knew the salon was for sale. It had been for sale for a little while. And it was a Thursday night. It was about 8 o'clock at night. I was in the kitchen. And I think she had known that I'd probably dropped a few little, comments like, oh, I'd love to buy it, but, I probably can't afford it. And I think she had just decided that she had had enough. And she just popped her head in the kitchen one night and she said, I'll sell you the salon for this amount. If you can come up with this amount of money, you can have it. And I just thought, you know what? I could come up with that amount of money. Yeah. I've got a bit of savings. I think I could get a bank loan. I think I could do it. And I thought to myself, I think I could do it better than you're doing it now. That was my driving point. I'm quite, I don't want to say competitive, but I was just like, you know what? I'd give it a crack. I reckon I could do it. Sure. Why not? And about 6 weeks later, it was mine.
Amazing.
I just feel like when something is meant to be, it all runs fairly smoothly, and it did. It all just happened.
That's so good. And I guess from that respect as well, like you have been a client, you've been a receptionist, you've been a therapist. You intimately, as you said before, you know the business so well. There really is nothing to hide. I mean, you were seeing the daily takings, you're seeing all of the reports. Like the business is so transparent to you that it makes so much more sense to buy a business in that respect because you already know it so well.
I knew what was going on. And don't get me wrong, like it's not all sunshine. I knew that the business needed quite a bit of work. I knew that I was going to have to work hard. I knew that I wasn't just going to walk in and it was going to improve on day one. But I thought, well, at least I'm not walking in blind. I know these clients. I know the system. I know how to do things here. And I just thought, what have I got to lose?
And so you had two little ones in that time where you brought the business. How
Yes.
did the balance of the shift happen when you've newly purchased a business to run and you've got little ones at the same time?
Yes, so I had Lilia and Liam at the time, and I want to say they were 2 and 3 or 1 and 2.
Crazy lady.
Something about that. And I can remember saying to one of my friends at the time, yeah, I think I'm going to buy my work. I think I'm going to buy the salon. And she just looked at me like, what? You're doing what? And I was like, yeah, I think I'll do it. Like, why not? And she was like, what about the kids? And I was like, oh, it's okay. Like, there's always a way, I'll just work it out. It's fine. It's totally fine. So I had to put them in, I did put them into daycare full time. I think I might have only been working like 3 work days at the time. So I bumped that up to 5. But I knew that they were in a safe place where they were being fed, looked after. They were probably doing more fun activities at daycare than we were doing at home. God, they do so much art and craft and all that fun stuff. And I had a nice little routine. I would drop them at daycare, go to the gym, have a workout, go to the salon, eat my brekkie, start the day, and then pick them up in the afternoon, or my partner would pick them up if I was working late. And my partner would often be working on the weekend as well. So sometimes my mum or maybe his parents would help out on the weekends. We just made it work.
I'm just like in awe. I'm always in awe of you, but just make it work with a 1 and 2 year old.
Yeah.
I'm wondering then, you said that you've gone from 3 days to daycare into 5 days. And
yes.
I guess a lot of mums, you really saw the positive side of that. You were like, look, they're going to do way more cool things at daycare than they can with me. But I think a lot of mums either A, put pressure on themselves, or B, other people put pressure on them, especially working mums. Did you ever feel that guilt from being away from your children? And if so, have you, or how does one even overcome that?
I mean, at the time, I don't think I had a lot of guilt, because I thought, you know what, I'm doing this so that me and my family can have a better life. I'm doing this so that we can go on more family holidays. Like, at the time when I was only working that 3 days a week, I probably was only getting $500 a week. And I was, we didn't own our own home. We do now. We were barely going on. We would have been lucky to go on one overseas holiday or one holiday at all. I think I've lost count on how many times I've been away this year. And, that's not to say that we're doing amazingly well and have money, we're just a normal family, but the hard work that I put in back then, it's shown now, and we are able to live comfortably. And we put money aside and we bought a house and we were able to buy a caravan last year so that we can have that quality family time together. And I don't feel as though my children missed out in those early days when I was putting in those crazy hours. It's just what you do so that you can get ahead and give them a better life.
Yeah, and actually it was really moving this year at the AVIA Awards. Like, obviously this industry just has so many mums in it, and especially business owners who are mums, and they were all accepting their awards, and there was not a dry eye in sight, because everybody was like, the late nights and the Saturdays and the time that I spend away from my kids, this is for you, and it was
it's for them.
It was so touching to hear that.
It's always for them. And I think that we are better people because of it. Like, I know I'm a better mum, doing the things that I enjoy. I like working. I like having something to work towards, and I like working on myself and getting better within my work, it's for me as well. And I take my hat off to the women who are stay-at-home mums, and that, that brings them so much joy. But I get a lot of joy going to work and having a business as well. And I think that I'm a better mother for doing that.
Yeah. Can we talk about, you and your family have had some really tough times over the past few years, which have been so hard to watch, and I'm sure even harder to go through. Has there been a time where you have just thought, stuff it, this is not what I signed up for, let's shut it all down?
Totally. So I bought the salon, it was September 2015. And then I fell pregnant with our third child, Lenny. It must have been the end of Jan or early Feb 2016. And I had some issues during the pregnancy, and they suspected that perhaps there was something wrong with him. And he was born in September 2016 with an airway defect, which, as you know, was a very hard time. For us, we spent a lot of time in and out of hospital, and Lenny was on oxygen for 15 months, and he's actually unwell at the moment. It's just, we had such a hard time in end of 2016, 2017, and we still have rough days or rough weeks now. But it was probably March or April 2017. I had hired a manager because we were just in and out of hospital all the time. And I just thought, I just need to have a pair of eyes in the salon. The salon, it was making less money. My wages were going up because I needed to have someone in there. I needed to essentially replace myself. And I thought, I need to have like a mature pair of eyes, who I can trust, someone to keep the girls on their toes, to make sure that we're working towards our product targets when I can't be there. And unfortunately, that person that I put into the management position, it didn't work out. And it was quite stressful. I ended up with quite a lot of upset staff members. I picked up on it very quickly, and I needed to get this person out of the business. But I can just remember laying in one of my children's bottom bunks and just crying and just thinking, like, I remember I didn't have enough money for the rent. I didn't have enough money to pay the bus. And I think I was thinking, like, how am I going to come up with the money to pay my wages? I couldn't pay myself in this particular moment either. And I was thinking, am I going to pay my mortgage? And I was just thinking, what am I going to do? Like, in that moment, I just remember feeling like there was no option. I just had no idea. I think I'd contacted the real estate, and I was hoping for them to give me like a bit of an extension. I told them what was going on with my family, and they were basically like, we just can't help you. Sorry, too bad. You've got to pay it.
Awful.
And I just remember thinking, there's no option for me right now. Like, I can remember I did a post in the Like-Minded Bitches group, and I think I just needed someone to be like, it's okay. Like, it's going to get better. I just did a post saying something like, this is what's going on, and I'm just having a really bad day.
Yeah, I remember that post.
Yeah, you remember? And I had hundreds of women just leave these beautiful comments saying like, it's okay, you're going to be okay, your baby's going to be okay. I've been there. I think there was like 300 or 400 comments, these beautiful women. And in that moment, I just thought, you know what? It's going to be okay. And sure enough, I got through that moment. I paid those bills. You always find the money. And here we are. Lenny is 3. He turned 3 in September. I've still got the salon. Haven't gone broke. I've always paid my rent. So you always overcome it. But yeah, God, there have been some really tough times.
And it's so, like, as you said, it's, now looking back, it's like you do find the money, but when you're in that situation, it's like you think that nothing can be done.
You just can't see the light in that moment.
Yes.
You just cannot.
Yeah. And I guess in talking about seeing the light, like, you're a really big person for self-care and kind of self-development and
Yes.
ritual, and you're always messaging me being like, have you slept, have you breathed, have you eaten today? When I'm just being tornado tomorrow all over the
Yeah.
joint.
Yes.
Can you talk about how much importance you place on self-care and ritual so that your cup can be full?
Yes. So even prior to having Lenny, I think my ritual prior to having him was just exercise. That's all I really used to do. I when I was younger, I did have like a little bit of depression and a little bit of anxiety, and to manage that, it was exercise, daily exercise. But then when Lenny was born, I think I realized that I needed to step it up. And it was probably around that March timeframe when, things were feeling pretty dark. I was lucky. I was working with a coach at the time called Lorraine, who I'm just so thankful to have had her in my life at that time. And she introduced me to the Miracle Morning, which is an amazing book. I recommend it to everyone. Which I introduced, which is basically, you get up an hour early in the morning, or if you don't have an hour, you can break it down to 10-minute intervals, and get your heart rate up, some sort of exercise, some sort of meditation, reading, journaling, writing affirmations. There's a whole list of things that you can do. And so I started doing that, and I did it very seriously, probably for 18 months. And now I don't do the full program, but every morning I wake up, I make myself a cup of coffee, I journal. I don't stick to like a particular script or anything. Maybe I just write, maybe I had like a bad day the day prior, or there's some things that I'm worried about. I just write whatever's on my mind, write a couple of things that I'm grateful for. Maybe it's my friends, maybe it's people in my team, maybe it's my children, the weather, anything. I've got some oracle cards. I've had a couple of my best friends give me different decks. So I just pick one on the day, pick a card, write whatever that card may say a couple of times, do some yoga, usually go for a run a couple of times a week. Try and meditate every day or at least a couple of times a week. I have been a little bit slack with the meditation lately. But my self-care is so, so important. And I think I learnt that the hard way back then when Lenny was unwell. And I just know that when I'm not looking after myself and making myself a priority, I cannot be there for anyone else. And I can't be a good boss, a good partner, a good friend, a good mother. So you have to put yourself first, or everyone else around you, you just end up letting them down, and yourself.
Yeah, well, this is what I hear a lot, because so many mums in our mentoring program in clinic or even at the brunches, I hear them say, I can't put myself first, which normally means that, they're putting themselves either second or third, and that means that they don't.
Or last.
Yes, or last. And that means that they kind of don't invest in the training courses, or they don't go on the trips and the conferences. Like, how do you overcome that? Because I'm sure it's easier to say than it is to kind of do.
Unfortunately, I think it usually comes down to something really terrible happening. Like for me, it was Lenny getting sick, but it shouldn't take that. It shouldn't take a really horrific incident for someone going, oh shit, I really need to make a change. I've had friends who have gone, you know what, that looks really good, I might just give it a go. And then they start incorporating little rituals in their day. And, a week later, 3 days later, they're like, wow, I feel really good. I didn't think that I felt bad, but I feel great now. I feel amazing now. It's amazing. I actually, since we got back from at Mac, I hadn't been doing my normal exercise regime. And I've gotten back into it this week, and just like tightened up my eating again. And after doing it for 2 days, I was like, wow, I'm a supermodel. My body looks great. I'm glowing. It is amazing when you just look after yourself just for a couple of days, how much your mindset changes.
Yes.
It doesn't take much. It really does not take much.
It's funny that you say that, because just before this call, I was down in my kitchen and I was eating lunch with Nathan, and we've been eating super clean the last 4 days. And I said to him, I feel like we are now the pinnacle of health. Like, look at my abs after 4 days. And I am not a person who has abs, but I'm like, I am feeling good now, you know?
Yeah. You're like, I'm basically like, I'm a fitness model.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
But it
really, it doesn't take much.
No, and that's it. Like, even for me, as somebody who doesn't have kids, I'm often putting clients first, or my inbox first, or, you know, my friends first. And just for me to sit back at home and just eat healthy for 4 days. And I'm not even talking like making anything keto crazy. I put tuna with vegetables for lunch. Like, there is nothing glamorous about that. But I guess it is the smaller things. You don't need to go check yourself into a retreat for 5 days. It's just eating vegetables.
It doesn't have to be, you know, I think going back to the Miracle Morning, it doesn't have to be an hour.
Yes.
There is a 10-minute version where you do star jumps for 1 minute, you read for 1 minute, you do deep breaths, like it's just 1 minute of meditation. There's a 10-minute version. It does not have to be a week-long retreat in the Bahamas. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing? But it doesn't have to be something huge, even just going to get an hour massage once a month, just something little, just makes all the difference.
And I want to talk about training and studying, because this is, again, another thing that when mum or women are, you know, in their kind of adult life, they, again, push this to the side, and you are always advancing your skills, and you're always aiming to reach and achieve higher and different levels of yourself and your business. And so you've gone into the cosmetic tattoo area of the industry. What made you do that, and what was that moment of change like?
So I think I had always, I mean, I love brows. I absolutely love brows. It was always sort of my favorite part of the waxing side of beauty. And a couple of years ago, I actually hurt my shoulder, and I said that I really just wanted to do brows and skin, and, you know, a bit of Brazilian waxing. And then I think the cosmetic tattooing, I'd always wanted to do it, but I was a little bit scared, because there are so many artists that do such beautiful work, and I thought, oh, I couldn't do that. They just do it so well. And I was away with my best friend Tessa in Noosa just earlier this year. We were sitting on the couch, and I was looking, they were actually bad brows. We're looking at bad brows on Instagram, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to sign up for a course, and I'm going to do it. I've been wanting to do it for years. And, you know, sometimes you're just scared to say that you want to do something, because what if you fail, and what if you are bad at it? And that's not like me to say that, but it's quite a big investment learning how to do cosmetic tattooing. Like, I had looked at courses so many times, but you're really looking at about $10,000.
Yeah, it's an investment and a half.
It is an investment. And that's, you know, that's just the basic course. You need to go on and keep progressing and keep learning. And then we were in Noosa and we were on holidays, and I just thought, you know what, stuff it. I need to stop thinking about it, and I'm going to regret it if I never, like, it's only $10,000. I can make it back, whatever. I'll regret it if I never do it. And so I signed up to a course, and I went and did a course in August, and I just loved it. I trained with Yaz from the Art Stylist, and she was just such a beautiful, patient teacher, and her team help with the training as well, and they were just amazing. And yeah, I guess something in me that day just thought, you know what, you've wanted to do it, stop being scared, just go and do it. What's the worst that can happen? You bought a salon because you thought you could do it better than someone else. You're looking at these brows again thinking, oh, I could do it. Just go and do it. If it's what you want to do, just go and do it. Give it a go.
Amazing. So good.
Here we are. Here we are.
I love it. And so I want to finish off with your advice. I mean, I'm sure everybody has loads of advice for mums, but specifically mums who are in business in the beauty industry. I feel like is a whole new ball game, who may be listening to the podcast today.
You know, definitely making time for yourself, make yourself a priority. And if there's something that you want to go and do, just go and do it. If there's a course that you want to do, if there's some mentoring that you want to sign up for, spend the money, invest. What have you got to lose? It's only money. You can make it back. You can pay it back. Spend the time. You are worth it, and you'll be a better mother, a better parent, a better partner, better all round, because, you know, we have to come first. We have to fill our cup first.
Amazing. Such sage advice. Thank you so much for coming on my podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me.
What an inspiring story. From being fired because she was pregnant, walking into a beauty salon as a client, getting a job as a receptionist turned therapist who brought the salon she was working at, just goes to show how life-changing our industry truly is. And not to mention, all the while being a mum to 3 little ones is any wonder people call mums in business superheroes. This episode has been made for all of the mums out there who are feeling doubt, guilt, shame, or otherwise, to show you that there is a light, and while you may not see it, you are not alone, not now, and not ever. You are special, the work you are doing is on another level, and you always have a space in our conversation and our community. If you know a mum in the beauty industry who needs to hear this message, please share it with them or tag them in the episode across our social media by finding us at Beaute Industry. It could just turn on the light that they are struggling to see. Until next time, stay connected.